What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? We have some more news obviously coming out of PlayStation here. Yeah, things are obviously have not been looking great on the digital space, obviously with the outages between Xbox and PlayStation. But besides that, on the PlayStation side, the players are still obviously furious, and they are boycotting PlayStation for a week in August to kind of send PlayStation a message to kind of try to make them rethink their decision to end physical media. And we can take a look at that over here. When we go over here on X, IGN posted here, backers of physical media have called on gamers to boycott PlayStation for a week in August to send a message to Sony that its decision to kill disc from 2028 is unacceptable. And if we take a look at this post here from MBG, he says here, are you going to be participating in the PlayStation blackout? And it states here, for several years now, Sony Interactive Entertainment has continued to grow further apart from its fan base, whether it's closing beloved studios like Blue Point, pursuing a misguided live service strategy, canceling fan events, leaving PlayStation VR 2 to die, or being completely out of touch with the franchises players want to see return. PlayStation has never felt more disconnected from its community. Ending physical discs in 2028 feels like the last straw. We understand that there is so much SIA can control, but with the decisions that are within its control, the company continues to mismanage the strong positions it inherited from the PS4 era. And I too am very on par with this. I do feel like they have completely isolated themselves, and they have gone the in the direction where they don't, they really don't care what their fans really think. They're obviously going this new leadership that's leading the ship right now at the helm really does not care about what me or you think. They're just in it obviously for their bottom line. And here, when we continue to read here, it says there are so many issues with PlayStation right now that are bringing back physical games. That bringing back physical games would only be meeting players halfway. There is still much more SIA can do. We miss Twisted Metal, SOCOM, Sly Cooper, Resistance. We miss the PlayStation experience. We miss Japan Studios. And one of the great games that came out from Japan Studios that they shut down was Bloodborne. And people have been dying for a Bloodborne remake or releasing it at least up to 60 frames, coming out with a patch to put it on 60 frames per second. And even that, they're not even willing to do. So it just goes to show you the PlayStation that's in charge right now, they are not in it for the players. They're really just in it to try to chase the latest thing. But I saw an article from Miyamoto, from Nintendo, and he basically said that the reason why Nintendo is so successful is because they don't chase the latest thing. They don't go for what is the meta at that time, or what's the thing, that's like trying to make the next Fortnite. No, they just know and they focus on what they do best, which is making fun games. PlayStation just needs to go back to that mentality of making fun, entertaining games. Stop trying to chase the next big thing. Stop trying to be the next Fortnite or the next extraction shooter or the next arena shoot. Like, just stop that. Stop with the live service games. You're gonna fail. You're gonna lose tons of money if you continue down that path. But here, when we continue down here, it says, with that, we are calling on PlayStation players who participate in an economic and gameplay blackout from Sunday, August 23rd at 7 p.m. local time through Sunday, August 30th at 7 p.m. local time. Players can participate by turning off their consoles or logging out for 7 days. We feel that this period gives publishers and developers minimal impact while still giving players a voice. So the PlayStation blackout. And like I said again, I mean, I'm gonna be, participating in the blackout. And I know that there's a lot of people that say, like, it doesn't matter. Um, you know, in order for there to be like some change, we're gonna need a ton of people on this and doing it. But we also can't have the defeatist mindset of thinking that I'm not gonna participate in it because it doesn't matter if I do participate. It's not gonna change anything. Having that type of defeatist mindset doesn't really help or do anything. So even if PlayStation decides that they aren't going to, you know, change course, the fact that, there's a group of people who are willing and who want to, participate and do this goes to show that there is still a dedicated fan base who still kind of want to, you know, still remain within the platform. They don't want to leave just yet, but they're getting to a point without the lack of clarity, without the lack of communication from PlayStation telling us what's going to be the plan, or what they're going to be doing. It's going to reach to a point where these dedicated fan base, they're just gonna kind of give up on PlayStation, and they're just gonna find another place to settle in. I, for one, for example, to be honest with you, I have not been playing too crazily on my PlayStation. I've been kind of more playing on my PC, playing on Steam. I'm kind of rebuilding my library on Steam, because if it does end up being that, all digital is going to be the way that it's going to be across all these platforms, and that the only pretty much holdout is going to be Nintendo, I'm pretty much just going to have Nintendo as like my gaming console, for the physical media and whatnot. And then for all the other stuff, for all the digital stuff and like the latest and greatest games that Nintendo might not be able to run, I'm just gonna be obviously buying it on Steam, because on my PC I'll have more freedom to do things, and I'll have more freedom to, have more preservation, have more control of the content that I consume on Steam. And quite honestly, I mean, I know it's kind of a shame. It's kind of a bit of a low blow, with all this that's going on. But I just feel like, to me, that this was kind of very short-handed and short-sighted on PlayStation's, on PlayStation side. I feel like there could have still been something, or at least by now come out and, say, hey, for PS6, yeah, we're ending physical media, but hey, we're gonna have like an optional disc drive. We're gonna have a plan for you to continue to play your PS5 games from previous gen, and, going forward, so that you guys don't have to worry about or anything like that. But the fact that they haven't clarified on anything, they just came out and just posted out this blanket statement, and basically just saying we're ending physical media and that's it. It just leaves a really sour taste, and it just goes to show, like, they don't care. So if they don't care, why should I care, right? If there is no reason, or no compelling reason for me to continue to stay on your platform, why should I continue to game there, And even when you go on things like, for things that they're doing, for example, when we go over here, like, right now, for example, the GTA 6 physical PS5 download codes, they expire after 170 days in Japan. But also here, right, PlayStation 6 appears to be region locked on PS5 in some cases, but on the Xbox Series X, users seem to have more flexibility. So, they're doing things like that, like region locking games if you buy like the code physically and stuff like that. And it's just being PlayStation right now, this era of PlayStation is a lot more limiting, a lot more controlling, and it's like kind of how this post here shows here. This a lot of I feel like a lot of people have this sentiment. Sony wants to keep us towards digital slavery, right? While raising prices, removing content, limiting ownership, and asking us to pay more for less, right? Raising PlayStation Plus prices, removing physical media, shutting down stores. It's a whole bunch of things that are going on. This isn't just them just removing the physical disc, and us not being able to purchase a physical disc. It's just about removing the option, taking more and giving less. It's really, this era of PlayStation has been really the worst that I that I have seen in all of the years that I have been gaming on PlayStation. So quite honestly, I don't know. I mean, those are some of my thoughts with what's going on. I want to get to know what some of you guys have to think, or what some of you guys have to say. Will you be participating in the blackout and boycotting PlayStation during that week? Um, I know that I will for sure. And yeah, I mean, if they don't change course, I think it's pretty much gonna be it for me. You know, I like I mentioned before in my other previous videos, as you guys seen, I'm not gonna be jumping on PlayStation 6. I'm not gonna be jumping on any of, you know, anything that they have to go moving forward. You know, if it doesn't come out on if it doesn't come out like out on Steam or anything, I'll just like skip it, and I really won't care, to be honest with you. I'm there haven't To be honest, there hasn't been any exclusives even this generation for PS5 that made me like even have to double guess leaving the platform. There hasn't been anything that made me think like, man, I'll be missing out on this if I leave PlayStation. You know, it's just been a very lackluster, a very boring generation for the PS5, to be honest with you guys. But those are just some of my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.